What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building to get to reviewing College Hill Celebrity Edition Season 3. We are back again. Last year, we reviewed the Alabama State Edition, and it was really interesting and a lot of divergent viewpoints. And this year, we're going to be talking about College Hill Celebrity Edition Season 3, which is being held at Xavier University of Louisiana, one of the top HBCUs in the nation. So listen, here's how we're going to do it this year. So I'm going to give you sort of my thoughts. I'm gonna give you 5 things that I really was looking at this first episode. And of course, the first episode premiered with the second episode. So we'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, let's get to it. So my first thought on College Hill Celebrity Edition, Xavier University, Louisiana, episode 1, is it's gonna take a while to get used to this cast. So the first 2 seasons of College Hill Celebrity Edition had a full roster of social media mainstays and interesting characters. Because of course, season 1 had Nene Leakes of Real Housewives of Atlanta fame and the always dramatic Ray J, right? Season 2, you got Jocelyn Hernandez from Zeus, Jocelyn's Cabaret and Love and Hip Hop and all these different things. Then you have a legend in New York from Flavor of Love and I Love New York, ran the 2000s reality TV scene, and of course Amber Rose, who has been in the news for a lot of different reasons. Season 1 had a level of charm and relatability that was really endearing, and season 2 had hilarity up and down from the moment it came on. From that first episode to the last episode, it had hilarity, but also a lot of intrigue with, of course, the Jocelyn and Amber fight. But season 3 feels very different in a way. I'm unsure about the casting process, don't ask me, but this ensemble of characters, of cast members, of celebrities, lacks the endearing charm and compelling intrigue exhibited by the previous season's cast. Now, I'm just going by the first episode, but you have to look at it. If we characterize the Texas Southern cast by one word, it's charming, and the Alabama State cast as intriguing. Season 3's cast at Zula thus far can be characterized as contentious. Because see, y'all gotta look at it. Like not even 10 minutes into the first episode, we found out that Saucy Santana and Claudia Jordan have beef over Claudia not feeling something that Saucy Santana said, and then she responded to it on her show and Saucy didn't like it. It was a contentious moment on a Love and Hip Hop reunion. So already we come in and we have 2 cast members that have beef. And I don't remember, and someone correct me if I'm wrong if you're listening to this, right? I don't remember any other cast member from the beginning having beef with another cast member just outside of College Hill. I mean, Jocelyn and Amber fought, but there wasn't a real issue that they had. Like there were other back and forths that occurred, but there really wasn't an issue amongst the cast that carried into their HBCU experience on this show. So I think this is sort of new and it gave it a different type of energy. But even looking at Angela White, formerly known as Black China, she didn't know who Karlous Miller was. And I'm like, wow. And there's sometimes it sort of infatuates me with like popular people and culture and comedians and actors that I know that other folks don't know. It's always very intriguing, but I went and researched and Black China was on Wildin' Out. Now granted, Black China wasn't on the episode of Wildin' Out with Karlous Miller because I believe Karlous Miller wasn't back yet. But it just is interesting. That was about around 2019, early 2020 before COVID. But it was just very interesting like that. Angela White don't know Karlous Miller. And Karlous Miller is honestly one of the bigger comedians in this new scene of comedians, the social media comedians. And 85 South Show is a really big comedy platform. So I'm surprised that Angela White did not know who he was. And we have to say this, if we look at it, Karlous Miller's first impression didn't go over that well because Karlous just talking, giving his unsolicited opinion on the Catholic religion. After Claudia said she was raised Catholic, and Angela did not like that at all. And it was unsolicited, and he was joking. He might not have been joking. Angela didn't know, and she was like, hey, listen, don't play with me. I'm not the one. And I'm like, all right, looks like there's going to be some issues are brewing with Karlous Miller and possibly Angela White. So, like, I'm just sitting back like, this is contentious. Like, y'all are right. Y'all need to calm down. Like, first episode, and I just see tension. Like, y'all supposed to be getting your education, your HBCU experience. Calm calm down, but there's still several episodes left, and we saw the cast, even season 2, we saw the cast bond throughout their time in school, during the HBCU experience, doing the different activities and going to events and going to class. We saw them bond and get closer. So maybe we'll see that from the cast members as the season goes on. But episode 1, just in general, contentious. So my second takeaway is Claudia Jordan is already embracing the HBCU experience, and that was hands down one of my favorite parts of the episode. Claudia Jordan talked about how she always wanted to attend an HBCU, and it honestly does seem that she, more than any other cast member, will truly embrace this experience for what it is. Not just a quick check, not just I'm here to cosplay going to college. I think that she's actually going to take this serious because she always wanted the HBCU experience. And she actually talked about her college experience in her first confessional. She mentioned attending a non-HBCU in Cleveland that lacked diversity. It was only a handful of black students. And she said she wished she had attended an HBCU instead, and she believes she could have gained a deeper insight and understanding into black culture. And Claudia, I'm telling you, if Claudia Jordan went to an HBCU for undergrad, I can tell you we all would have been claiming Claudia, because Claudia is like that. Like, Claudia does her thing, radio, TV, modeling, like she does it all. Like, Claudia is very talented, and then she's into politics and advocacy. Like, she's doing a lot of amazing things. So even just to have her on this show, I think that she's probably going to be one of my favorite cast members. And you could just see how excited she is, because when they got to Xavier University of Louisiana's campus, like, she was super lit. You had the choir that sang, you had the band that performed, and she was talking about, listen, leave the potato salad at home. And like, HBCUs are shrimp and grits, it's macaroni and cheese, it's soul food, it's soul, it's energy, it's character. You could just tell that she was just enamored with the HBCU experience. So I really think that she's grateful for the experience. She's going to really embrace it as we see the next few episodes of the series. And I will give my prediction that she is going to be the valedictorian of her class. It does not at all seem like she is here to play games. She is here to get the HBCU experience that she never had. And also, if you look through the episode, as they're in their classes, you see Claudia looking up. She ain't talking. She ain't chit-chatting. She ain't playing. She is taking notes. Like, she is trying to understand what is going on. So I think that Claudia is going to end up probably leading her class and being the valedictorian. Now, I can't say the same thing about Saucy Santana, because he has to get it together if he wants to graduate from this program. Because one thing we found out about College Hill Celebrity Edition, the whole entire series, this reboot from the original College Hill, is that this ain't a joke. This ain't a comedy skit. This is really a degree track. Like, you can get your certificate in interdisciplinary studies, because I know the celebrities had a hard time learning what that is and saying what that is. Getting your certificate in interdisciplinary studies. So it's a real quick pathway. They're not playing. You are really for real in school. This is not a game. And I think that Saucy Santana needs to understand that, because listen, being late for your orientation and your first day of classes, of all things, is not the way to go if you really want to take this experience seriously. And then Saucy really thought that the other cast members, when they're trying to get to campus so they can get to class and everything like that, that they were going to wait around. Nah, like, and Saucy gets to the campus when, like, they're seeing the choir perform and the band comes out. You have the dancers that's dancing. Like Saucy said, I thought we were supposed to be one band, one sound, talking about Drumline, the legendary HBCU movie, Orlando Jones, him saying one band, one sound, saying you're going to look out for the members of the band. But I really think Saucy Santana should look at that movie again, because Dr. Lee was expressing that the band members at Atlanta A&T, which is not a real HBCU, should be cultivating a close relationship amongst one another, because they're a part of the same band, and it has to be accountability to make sure that your fellow band member is there and okay, because he said if one person sounds bad, we all sound bad. Like, that's an organizational thing. And that's also true amongst other organizations on HBCU campuses and even college campuses, but y'all aren't a part of an organization right now. Y'all are regular, non-traditional students, because at the end of the day, you grown. You're an adult. Mom and dad ain't there to wake you up. auntie and uncle ain't there to wake you up. Your brother and your sister ain't there to wake you up. Like, you have to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And that's one thing in college we implore students. I was orientation leader. We implore the students that, listen, you got to be accountable, because when you grown, you taking care of yourself, and then eventually you got to look out for other folks like your family, your kids. That is your first chance, if you've never had that opportunity, to really look out for yourself. And I know Saucy Santana is very successful and has a lot of things going on. All I'm saying is Saucy gotta take this experience more seriously. And it ain't one band, one sound. It's every person for themselves. You are grown. Now I gotta skip to this, because I honestly believe that outside of Claudia Jordan, because I already have love for Claudia Jordan, I honestly believe that Angela White's growth is going to be my favorite storyline on this season of College Hill. Like, cause she seems very committed to her personal growth and her sobriety. I don't drink, so I think that's really dope. And I know that a lot of what Celebrity Edition was the first and second season is the cast members turning up with each other. They're drinking, they're going to party, they're going all these different places. I really hope that that doesn't become a problem this season. And I hope they really find a way to include Angela, because Angela ain't Stacey Dash, because Stacey Dash wasn't trying to rock with none of y'all. But Angela seems like she just trying to do her thing, and she's trying to hang with y'all, but she ain't trying to get drunk and all the different stuff like that. So I really do hope that they're able to integrate Angela into the fun that they're probably going to have as we see the rest of this season. But I really do think that she is committed to her growth journey. And I think that's real, because college is a place of self-discovery. Like, we all find ourselves in our college experience. And I know no matter what you do, you're gonna grow through your experience. You can grow in the workforce, like you can grow doing other things. But being in college, you're confronted with so many different things in your college experience that really forces you to change and grow. And a lot of folks really turn into better people along the way, especially with the lessons that you learn at an HBCU. And I'm really excited to see what becomes of Angela. I think her journey is going to be very similar to India Love's journey to find self-confidence and her voice. And we saw India going to counseling with her professor and talking through different things. We saw her be incredibly vulnerable. She was afraid to go up and talk in the front of the class. Like, those are things I was so glad that India got a chance to showcase in College Hill, because I think that could help someone. And I think what Angela's doing, her part in the show, I believe amongst all the hijinks, because that's going to be there, I honestly believe that Angela's journey on the show and her growth from Black China to Angela White, I honestly believe it's going to help a lot of people. Now let's get to the nitty gritty of it, all right? Because Karlous Miller was the star of this first episode, because Karlous Miller was giving his unsolicited opinion all up through the first episode. And my gosh, he really set off a pipe bomb when he gave his thoughts on the homelessness crisis in America. So that was the most interesting portion to me. I know there were other parts that were cool, but that was when I was like, okay, now we're getting to it. So in the class with Dr. Russell Frazier, who is Xavier University of Louisiana's Department Chair of Political Science and Sociology, the class got their first assignment, which relates to homelessness. And of course, Dr. Frazier is not playing with them. This ain't a game. They got a 3-page paper, their first homework assignment. If you didn't go to college or to an HBCU, that is how it is. That is real. And the assignment that sort of binds the whole entire class together is they're gonna develop policy to address homelessness in Louisiana. They're gonna write a bill and propose it to an actual U.S. congressman that's in Xavier University of Louisiana graduate. So shout out to him. So some of the cast members, when they heard about the 3-page paper, like, they were dumbfounded, like, what, homework? Yes. Did y'all watch the first couple seasons of College Hill? Did y'all not see Ray J, like, literally because he cheated, Ray J got kicked out, had to come back? Like, did y'all not see that? I mean, it's not like this is the first season. This is on BET Plus. I mean, this is like these. And did you talk to people that were on the show? Because this is actually like real life work that y'all got to complete. Because these HBCUs are not playing. This ain't just a game to them. And I don't even think that. And I know I'm a college graduate, but I don't think that assignment that, hey, write a 3-page paper about homelessness, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think that's going to better inform them about the assignment. And as they research and write their paper, they're going to be more prepared for what's to come. So, I mean, I don't really think that was all that bad, to be honest. But Dr. Frazier proceeded to lead a discussion about homelessness in Louisiana, speaking about how rich folks, millionaires and billionaires, ride by the homeless population in Louisiana, and they're on bat an eye. And Karlous Miller, he said, hey, it's not their problem. And Karlous essentially was saying it's not the problem of wealthy people, or really anyone that's not in power to address the issue. It's on the folks with real power, who he links to political leadership, saying that it's on them to make a change. And the celebrities seem to be very perplexed by Karlous' sort of cavalier notion that, hey, that's not our problem. And I understood what he was saying, but my pet peeve with Karlous in this moment is, number one, he didn't really have a basis. He was just sort of talking. Like, that was the part I didn't really like. He, like, when Dr. Frazier was like, hey, like, it's not our problem, he said, yes, it is our problem. Why do you think it's not a problem? He said, I just don't. He kept saying it, and I'm like, well, Karlous, could you explain to us why it's not our problem? Because maybe you can convince all of us that it's not our problem. We can move on, going about our day. And then Tamar presses him, and he attempts to explain that a responsibility, like I said, is on the folks in power, the political folks, and the folks we vote for. You got to vote for the right people that's going to use their power and their platform and, like, the allocation of the budget of money to address homelessness and address issues that are important to folks. And I'm not going to say he's wrong. I think that it's broader in its scope, but let's go piece by piece. I think he's correct in saying that politics and policy can help in aiding and reducing homelessness and giving folks that are homeless a place to stay and all these different things, and really truly addressing economic disparities in that way, because it's such a multi-tiered issue when it comes to homelessness. So I do agree you have to vote for the right people. They're going to allocate the budget, the money, the resources, and the time to address these issues. But we have to understand that civic engagement is on the constituents, is on the folks in your city, in your state, in your nation, just as much as it's on the elected leaders to make change and operate in service. And service does not stop with our vote, because our vote is important. That's an important weapon. But there's so many other things that we can do to invoke change. And one of the things is advocacy. And I believe that's what Dr. Frazier is trying to get them to do, because through this whole entire discussion that they were having, where Claudia was talking, Tamar was talking, Nick Young spoke up, which I was surprised. Nick Young spoke up and said his piece, and Karlous and Nick Young were having a debate. He started smiling, because Dr. Frazier knew, this is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to engage on this issue, get passionate about it. And now that you're passionate about it, writing that 3-page paper, it's not going to be anything about homelessness. It's not going to be anything. And then ultimately, when it comes time to write that bill and present it to the U.S. congressman, it's going to be a breeze. So essentially, that's what we're in the class for. Like, we're in the class to find out, hey, listen, the politicians, the folks in power, they can do something to address homelessness. Well, now you have the opportunity to talk to someone that is a Zula graduate and get them to possibly do something, because it's not play. That person's actually in Congress. So I think that this class will be perfect for Karlous and also the others to really truly engage on these issues. But what I will say, because you had Claudia was like, he was disrupting the class. I don't think that Karlous was disrupting the class. I think that Karlous, he really can learn how to better communicate his points, because he was very adversarial, especially when folks were dissenting with him. But what I'll say is that in college classrooms, you sort of see it played out to a certain degree if you look at Power Book 2. There are dissenting opinions, and there's like different opinions that folks have, and there are real discussions that happen, especially in classes such as political science. Like, there's different political beliefs and views on government, views on service, views on how to handle an issue. These debates always happen, and that's sort of the brilliance of going to an HBCU, because you're exchanging this information with folks that look like you, and your professor looks like you, and understand where you're coming from and your views and your experience, and they use that to inform the lesson. And the whole entire goal is to make you think critically and not just say something because it sounds good or because you feel it. It's like you say what you say and you argue what you argue because you have facts to back it up, real facts, not fake facts, not all this different stuff going on. You actually have real facts and research to back up what you're saying. At the very least, there's a level of forethought to what you're saying. I think that what Karlous said wasn't necessarily wrong in, hey, we have politicians in power. They should do what we voted for them to do, which is address this issue and other issues that affect us. But I think that there wasn't forethought in how Karlous said what he said, because his viewpoint was valid. And I think that's what Karlous needs to really work on throughout this season. If he does, I don't know, because that is Karlous Miller, 85 South Show. He's known for sort of speaking his mind and saying what he say. But in this forum, it's just a little bit different. I don't think the comedic bravado is going to be something that really is endearing to the other castmates, but I don't think it was inherently bad. And I actually that was my favorite scene because it took me back to my college experience at Fort Valley State University. It took me back to that. And I think that that's the brilliance of the college experience, is the exchange of ideas in a real way and then coming to a conclusion and really forcing yourself through that discussion to think critically and use research to back up your evidence. So shout out to Dr. Frazier. I think that his class is going to be the class that's going to be the center, like the main event of everything that goes on this season. So I really think that's amazing. But overall, I am ready for the next episode. It's already out. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to do a review. Listen, I think that this is going to be another really good season of College Hill Celebrity Edition. The cast, I'm still shaky on the cast. Very contentious first episode. They had some bonding moments. Shout out to Tamar and Claudia talking with Angela, having that really deep moment with Angela in the restaurant. But it just seemed very contentious. And from the previews and this season trailer, it looks like it might get a little bit worse, but we're here, we're rocking. As long as no one gets to fighting, honestly, I think we'll be perfectly fine. But those are my thoughts on College Hill episode 1. Listen, make sure to subscribe to HBCU Pulse on YouTube to get more of this great content. And also the fall is coming up, homecoming, football season, election season, all of these different things. So make sure to tap in with HBCU Pulse on YouTube. By the side of that, I will see y'all on the other side.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.